Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday Funnies Review. I'm Desmond Gillick, and you're watching the Sunday Funnies Review. It is the week of Sunday, May 31st, 2020, and it's time to get into the Peanuts rerun of the week. And it's an alright comic, but it's like Peanuts falls into a weird void this week where the punchline isn't very funny, but this is like a little wholesome. This encounter between Woodstock and Snoopy is a little wholesome, so it's not trying to be overtly funny, but also it has a punchline. I don't want to hurt Charles Schultz's name, so I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Up next is the Zits, a timeless classic, really. And it's a three-panel done like a shoe comic would be, which is something I find interesting, especially considering that it's usually like uniform panels each week. And, is it going to rain? No, it's just a passing cloud. And, it's the child going grumble, gripe, whine, gloom because he's mowing the lawn. Crazy how two back-to-back comics revolve around rain. And I quite like this one. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 for the Zits this week. Up next is the Foxtrot of the week. It's a cursed, creased comic, and I don't know why it's so creased this week in particular, but well, check out his House of Cards. Oh man, that's way bigger than the one you made yesterday. And then, yeah, it's just he hot glued it, which is like cheating when in reference to a House of Cards. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. Very beginner level comic this week. Up next is the Better for Worse this week. And it's kind of like a bit of a boomer joke, because it's like, she's a young 20-something, she's like in her, I don't know, 40s, 50s maybe, I can't tell, but, it's just a simple boomer joke, which I quite appreciate. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Up next is the Garfield of the week. And you know what? I thought this one was going to be a bit of a sleeper. I didn't think it was going to be great, but then it turned out to be a sleeper hit. Because this last panel, 10 o'clock and all as well, it's great. I really like it. Because, dog do wacky thing at midnight. Everyone loved when dog do wacky thing. And everyone loved this comic. Everyone give it 7 out of 10, that decision final. One moment to flip it over and all. Man. Man. Trying to think of a good conversation topic to have between you and I, Really can't think of one. But, I'm sure I'll think of something while reading these next few Sunday funnies, and then I'll tell you all about it. Up next is the BC. It starts off with a two-ant panel, which happened a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the two-ant panel before it then, and I don't even know why it's there this week. Is it just to fill space? I don't get it. It's just a simple joke of man start to make wheel. That there's like one little bump on the wheel, so it goes to... So he goes to bump it off. He ends up bumping it a bit too hard, and he bumps the whole thing in half. It's just a 6.5 out of 10. Up next is the Hagar the Horrible. This week it's the Hagar the Alright. It's like, what's the hang-up? I found this French pastry under my seat. I should throw it overboard before the men fight over it. And then Hagar goes, abandon ship. I had a better idea, which is, he just ate the French pastry before everyone else, yada yada. It's nice. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Up next, it's the Wizard of Id this week. Back-to-back fishing weeks for the Wizard of Id, if my memory serves me right, which is quite odd. But I like the ending joke of time to move on to the drinking portion of this outing, which is, of course, the classic, funny beer. So I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10. Who doesn't love fishing, Up next is the Mother Goose and Grimm, and this one actually caught me by surprise, because it's the Dalai Lama. Life is like a pastrami on rye with pickles, and I was like, this isn't a great joke. But then I realized, oh, it's the Dalai Lama, like the Dalai Lama. So I laughed at that. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. Up next is the Doonesbury, 0 out of 10. Don't even want to give Gary the time of week, the time of week this week. You know. Yeah, 1 minute. This is folded weird. Man. Speaking of the Doonesbury, did you know the Doonesbury had an eye catch? Yeah, neither did I, because we don't include it. Here's the Family Circus of the week, and I like this one, because it's, a little wholesome. It's the Family Circus. It's gonna get the big old wholesome award of the week. It's very nice. I like it, because, it's all drear and rear until babies show up, and then everyone happy, which is great. I really like it. 7.5 out of 10. Up next is the shoe of the week, and it's got any pets? Yep, police dog. Is he smart? Smart. Not only does he chase cars, he gives the driver a ticket. Are all the people in the shoe world birds, or is the dog like a sentient person? I've always this one just really raised that question for me, because if he's a police dog that hands out tickets, it's like, is he a police officer? Or is he still a dog in this bird world? Raises more questions than it does answer. 6.5 out of 10. Up next is the Blondie of the week. And you know what? I really, really like this Blondie of the week. Because he's in a hurry, and then, throughout the week he keeps, throughout the day rather, he keeps like getting stuck through different situations. He's rushing to work. And it's just a simple joke of the bad news. The vending machine won't get delivered till next week. Gasp. Next week. I like it. 7.5 out of 10. And now the Dilbert of the week is something I can't even begin to tell you how funny it is, because it's the first social distancing Dilbert that I've seen. So it's like a couple months late on the whole social distancing bit. And you know what? It's fine. You get there when you get there. But the punchline here is the greatest thing ever. So he's like, "Oh yeah, my life's been peaceful for the past few months. My life was already my love life was already barren and wasteland. And avoiding my coworkers is always good. Yeah." I haven't been stressed, tired, or bored in weeks. I've only had one remaining source of stress in my life. Then we see Dogbert and Dilbert on the couch, and then it's like, I'm printing money in the basement. There it is. It's great. I love this punchline. I laughed at it. It's an 8.5 out of 10 from me. It'll probably get the funny award of the week, but I'll see what I'm feeling later. You know what won't get the funny award of the week? The Marvin. It's a Greek joke. Baby Marvin say Opa because he's like, I don't want Greek, because his parents made him a gyro, or gyro, depending on how you pronounce it, instead of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And Opa is the thing that the Greeks say, 2 out of 10 this week. 1 minute to flip it over. Man, I'm really angry at that Doonesbury of the week, man. Still can't get it off my mind. It's just 0 out of 10. It's disgusting. Anyway, back to something a little lighter. It's the baby blues. And you know what? It's a funny-ish comic. It's a 6.5, but I just hate this rat child. This rat child is the worst child in the entire house. So it actually gets a 6 out of 10 this week from me, because I don't really love it. But this comic, I love it. Because it's the high and lowest, so it's like kind of having a little wholesome award of the week type deal. Because it's like, I'm bored. hey, why don't we ask Mr. T about when Dad was young, you know? It's like, yeah, you've known my dad for a long time, and do you have any adventures together? One time we ran away, hopped a freight train, traveled across the country, and hitchhiked our way back home. Mr. T said you were a hobo. Don't believe anything that man says. I like it. I'll give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Also, minor thing, isn't it weird that this week's High and Lowest has two eye catches, right? This is like the one it always has, but then this is like a secondary one because I guess they didn't want to add another panel to Mr. T's story. Very, very odd indeed. Anyway, up to the Sally Forth this week. And I suppose the joke is that it's an old slip and slide to slip into 2020 summer, and then he gets killed in a violent motorway accident. This is a very sad comic. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. My condolences to Mr. Brown Hair. Speaking of hair color, it's the invasion of the pink-haired people, and you know what? I like it. I like the bit of them wearing cotton candy on their heads. I can tell it's not a social distancing comic. I can tell that John McPherson has had this idea bouncing around for a while, and I can tell that it's a solid 7.5 out of 10. And then finally, of the week, it's the Born Loser. Oh, Gladys, would you come here, please? Take a look at this window. What? Look at how dirty the window is. When was the last time you cleaned the windows? When was the last time you cleaned the windows? That's supposed to be your job. Well, they're really not that bad. You know, I don't hate it. It's just man procrastinate, wife get angry. I'll give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. I would have given it a 7, but I mean, look at that front-facing panel of Gladys, you know? I don't like it when comic authors draw their characters front-facing. Well, anyway, you know, in the week of the Sunday Funnies, I believe this week's Funny Award went to the, who this week? The Dilbert this week, of course. The Wholesome Award went to the Family Circus. No upset here. All in all, it's been a pretty good week for the Sunday Funnies. And this time I filmed it in one take, you know? So, like, comment, subscribe, share, rate 5 star.